Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
Hang the phone up. There's no other thing to do, is there? I'd just say hang up.
Over the last several weeks, we've heard from many of you who've heard from scammers claiming to be with the IRS. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Mike has the evening off. Those scammers leave threatening voicemails demanding you call them back or else. Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker tells us why you should ignore those nagging voicemails and phone calls.
Many people are double-checking their tax information because the deadline to file is just a little more than a month away. Scammers are using this busy time of the year to try and cash in on unsuspecting people.
The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division is receiving hundreds, if not thousands, of these calls.
Peril Grossman, head of the North Dakota Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, says the IRS scam is pretty common, especially around this time of the year.
Relax a little bit. They're very, very irritating, but for the most part, they're very harmless, and they will stop calling you if you don't respond.
But what do you do whenever you're in a situation like Don McDonald?
At least six calls in 2 days. That we got 4 today for sure, and we might even got more than that, but we've got a lot of them.
McDonald says all the voicemails are the same.
They say this is your final notice. The IRS is going to take you to court with a lawsuit over your final notice.
It is not the IRS. They are not coming to arrest you. They do not have any of your financial, tax information, or any other confidential information.
Grossman tells us why you should never, under any circumstances, call these numbers back.
Now they know they've got a live telephone number and somebody that may be interested, somebody potentially to scare or hook into this scam.
And if you do answer one of these bogus phone calls, you can just do what McDonald says he does.
I hang up and 99% of the calls come in the house.
Here's the unfortunate part. If you fall for one of these scams and send money, the chances of you getting it back are very slim. And just so you know, the IRS never calls you. It's always through writing. Andrea?
All right, good advice. Thank you, Cornelius. Look for this story on valleynewslive.com for a link to make sure that you don't get scammed. After a whistleblower contacted us that their automatic monthly rent payment system overcharged them because of the leap day, we wanted to know, are automatic payments a good idea, and is the convenience worth the risk? Fitness clubs, online streaming services, and now apartment rental companies are getting into the auto pay game. Most people we talked with say they are on board. It's convenient, easy to use, and you don't have to fumble with checks and paper statements. But financial experts caution, if you aren't checking your bank accounts regularly, then it becomes a problem.
There's kind of a tendency to set up the automatic payments and kind of set it and forget it.
Josh Huffman also says it could be a good idea to use a credit card for those auto payment systems, since credit card companies often have additional levels of security. Addiction recovery advocates from around the Fargo-Moorhead area gathered on the Main Avenue Veterans Bridge this afternoon, hoping someone will hear their deeply personal message. They're saying no to deaths caused by drug and alcohol overdoses. Valley News Team's Natalie Parsons was there and explains how those affected by addiction personally are the best advocates.
They walk for family and friends. They walk for those who have passed. And some are walking for themselves.
I'm in recovery, and I've been in recovery for a long time now, and I had a very close person to me pass away.
These advocates are walking to bring awareness to drug and alcohol addiction and proclaiming no more deaths from overdoses.
We lose more people to addiction than car accidents is, and so we need to raise awareness and get the word out there.
This community has had many heartbreaks in the past and believes enough is enough.
We want to see change. We want to get well from this disease, and we want to stay well, and we're tired of all the barriers that keep coming.
Addiction is a disease, and Regroup, Peers Advocates for Addiction, says 23 million people are living in recovery. There's another 20 million people still in need of recovery, but only 10% of that will get it.
Challenges with resources and allotting resources. There have been changes just this week, and we understand those changes, but we as a community need the political will to tackle this issue face on.
Those at Regroup know that the road to recovery can be hard, but believe if you want it, you can do it.
It's a big hole that you have to dig yourself out of, and you know, it's a really lonely path, you know, and people don't realize, like me personally, I didn't realize there was so much support out there and so much help. I just had to seek it and I had to want it.
In Moorhead, Natalie Parsons, Valley News Live.
The Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act was brought to the Senate this week, and if passed, it will increase access to overdose help, treatment services, and recovery support. While many people pay close attention to the problem of drugs coming across the southern border, North Dakota Senator John Hoeven says we should be paying more attention to the northern border as well. According to his office, the amount of heroin seized coming into the U.S. from Canada grew from 1 to 30 pounds from 2013 to 2014. Hoeven introduced an amendment to the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act that would force the federal government to look into how bad the drug smuggling problem is on the northern border. Hoeven also offered an amendment to the bill that would allow the U.S. Attorney General to make grants to state law enforcement agencies to investigate the distribution of heroin and prescription drugs. Ben Carson, the retired neurosurgeon who rose from political obscurity to a strong position in early polls last fall, officially dropped out of the Republican presidential race today after a string of disappointing finishes on Super Tuesday. Carson will serve as national chairman of My Faith Votes, a nonpartisan group that's working to dramatically increase voting participation by Christians in the 2016 election and beyond. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has given North Dakota more than $14 million to improve and maintain hunting and fishing resources in the state. More than $10 million will be used in wildlife restoration. Another $4.2 million will go to sports fish restoration. Some Friday night fun at the bowling alley for CCRI as they join some big-hearted bikers in friendly competition. The FM Crusaders Motorcycle Club has invited CCRI clients to a number of events over the years. Tonight, they're going for strikes. For the past 7 years, the FM Crusaders have donated proceeds from their annual bike show to support CCRI's Camp Hero. These two unlikely groups have forged a special bond that goes far beyond that.
Fargo Moorhead Crusaders are my heroes.
And why is that?
Because I go to Camp Hero. People that are maybe physically challenged to integrate back into a productive life, and they do a good job helping these people do it. And that makes us feel good too, that we can help them a little bit.
The annual bike show is set for March 19th and 20th. Over the years, the FM Crusaders have raised more than $90,000 for people with disabilities.